Aaron can pull it up. And then the priorities document, we really wanted to make this available for all of our towns and different organizations that search for funding, whether it's grant or local support, to have this document to show that it's really a regional priority. We did identify 7 locations, but we know that that's kind of fluid. So we went through and we put in some priority criteria. So if your segment of trail is not listed on one of the 7 criteria, but it meets this criteria, then it becomes a priority of the Naugatuck River Greenway Steering Committee and a regional priority for us. So I think that was really the highlight of it. We did talk about it at some length at our last meeting, but I'll open it up to any questions or comments that others might have. Or Aaron, if you had anything further to add, please feel free to do so.
I can just sort of walk everybody through the document if you'd like. So, we did talk about these 4 criteria, and we also identified. If I can advance, can everyone see that what's on the screen now? And it's the regional priorities list. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, so we identified these 7 trail segments that meet those criteria currently, but we also, put some language in there that said, this is always going to be changing. So, as segments are completed or as, different opportunities come up, new sections could be identified by using those criteria. And if I just show you quickly, so the document, so it lists the completed trail sections, the trail sections that are currently in construction or imminently going to construction, and then list those priorities. And it also goes through each town by segment and sort of explains what the segment looks like. Where we have costs, we inputted estimated costs and status and length. So that's for every town by segment. And then at the very end of the document is our table that we've been looking at the past 6 months or so. And that's got every segment listed with their status and whether or not they're a regional priority. So we did circulate that. And I think now, what we're really looking for, let's see, looking for endorsement from this committee. And I'd be happy to answer any questions or sort of, go through in a little more detail if you'd like.
Maybe to get it started, I'll make a motion to accept the priorities as presented.
I think there was a second from Cleve. I saw him raise his hand.
Edmond, I'll second that.
All in favor?
You want to have any discussion just first in case?
Is there any discussion? All right.
This may not be the time. This is Edmond Thomason. This may not be the time, but seeing as it's kind of open right now. Aaron, where are we in relationship to the Watertown piece from Branch Brook down to the bus depot? That certainly is important here so that we can get that link, get that bridge over the brook, and put in that Thomason section that has essentially been approved and we've been working on for probably a decade, for God's sake, but we need that link. Where are we with that? And Paul Bunovich from Watertown, is that still a priority for Watertown?
Yeah, that's a good question. And Paul actually, I know, has been working to do some survey work and really locate the water main. And I think that, that was the big question from DOT was, how could we build that without impacting the water main? So Watertown has been doing that work. And I don't know if you want to explain a little bit more, Paul, but You know, that's where I understand it is.
Well, Bunovich, are you there?
You still there?
*6 to unmute on the phone.
Sorry, someone muted me after I unmuted my, anyway. Yeah, we've been working last year pretty much on that whole length of almost 2.5 miles between Frost Bridge and the proposed bridge that's going behind the treatment plant there, Ed.
Correct.
And I've got that pretty much set. We're going to be doing the design in-house, and I submitted an estimate to the NVCOG, which Aaron should have. Do you have that, Aaron, somewhere? I know Roy said he did submit it up to you guys, so it's in the ether somewhere. Yeah.
Okay,
so,
I'll have to look for it. And
yeah, right. And yeah, we're ready to go on that. Well, I mean, from design end, you know, the other thing is, yeah, the water main. I finally pretty much finalized the layout with George from Bureau of Water, George Kalaku. And I still have some more test pits to dig up there, maybe 4 or 5, because there's some areas of concern, but I'm pretty confident, well, be careful. I think we can handle the alignment even if we do run into some water main cover issues, but I think in general, most of at least half of the trail is away from the water main alignment. And the rest of it, I think we can work either if we have to fill over it in places, but there's an estimate for that. And I mean, there's money for that in my estimate I sent out about additional cover or fill over the water main. So I'm pretty confident we can get that done.
So you're still in the review process, Paul, at this point with the with water, actually?
Yeah, right,
water.
Correct. Yeah, they're concerned obviously about their pretty fragile old cast iron water main that serves half of Waterbury. So
understood.
Understood. Yeah. So but like I said, I believe those issues can be resolved one way or another.
Okay, so what you're waiting for comment back from him at this point?
No, well, I was waiting for the snow to melt to go out and do some more test pits, which just happened in the last few days. So maybe even next week I might be able to go out and dig some of those. So or within the next few weeks. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah, weather's looking better. Snow will be off.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that update for all parties. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Aaron.
You're welcome.
Is there any other comments on the priorities? All right, so we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay. Motion passes.
thank you. So we'll post that on the website and get a final copy out to everybody very soon.
Okay, next we're have an update from the Ansonia Routing Study. It looks like Mark will be giving the update. I don't know if there's anyone else from Ansonia on the call. I don't see Sheila, if she's here. If not, Mark, you can go ahead and take it away.
Josh, I think you should be able to share your screen.
All right.
I probably have to unshare.
Yep, I'm getting an alert here that says I cannot start to screen share yet while someone else is sharing.
Okay, try that.
All right, here we go. Can you all see this?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, Mark, do you want to kick us off or do you want me to run
sure.
with it?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Jewell with VHB, and my colleague, Josh Iannati, who will be the project manager for the Ansonia Routing Study. Want to start out with thank yous to NVCOG and this committee for giving us some time on your agenda, and to the city of Ansonia for having the foresight to tackle this difficult section. As everybody knows, Ansonia has spent the last few years, decade, advancing various multi-use trail projects in Ansonia. one of which is going out to start construction next week. Segments 3 and 4 of the Ansonia Riverwalk near the Target store there. And so there's a lot of things happening there, but this is a gap that has persisted for some time. And so we're thrilled to be working with the city of Ansonia and the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection to look at this area and try to get a feasible alignment identified and funded. So with that, I want to turn it over to Josh. He's going to say a few words as the project manager, and then we're happy to take any questions. Thanks.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Yeah, and I just want to echo Mark's thanks to you all for giving us the time here to talk about this study. At this point, we're still in the assessment of existing conditions phase. You know, we will have a meeting with you all again as we advance this study to actually get your feedback and talk about the different alternatives that we're looking at. But at this point, just to give you a brief overview of the area that we're looking at and yeah, get your initial feedback. So thank you all for your time. So you can see here, I'm sharing the NVCOG interactive trail map, the trail status map. This to me shows it's the clearest picture of what's been constructed and where we're kind of moving forward. So this segment was the most recently constructed by the city. Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this was State Project 02125. It's a small bridge that crosses the Waterbury branch, and the multi-use trail now comes out to Pershing Drive. So this is where we're really kicking off our study, and we'll be looking at our alternative alignments moving north toward the municipal border with Seymour. So just in an effort to kind of quickly click through here, I'll go into a little bit of detail, just what makes this corridor, this segment, a little bit more complicated. But again, this is just to provide you a brief introduction. So we'll move north. We're looking at on-road and off-road facilities, obviously trying to be as close to the river as we can. But you know, we've got flood control walls on both sides of the river. We've got a few levees. As we kind of move forward, this is Olson Drive, this round where this kind of wraps around Olson Drive along the Naugatuck River heading north. As this is the downtown Ansonia area off to the right here, you can see the Ansonia copper and brass site. The Waterbury branch line kind of cuts through the middle of that site. So this is where the segment really starts to get complicated, right? We've got flood control walls on both sides. We've got this American copper and brass site. There's a construction, Burns Construction has a facility here where they do a lot of where they have a lot of storage, material storage and so forth. So this is kind of the whole area that we'll be looking into and evaluating our alternatives. We're not limiting ourselves to one side of the river or the other. We've at this point had one meeting with Aaron and Mark Nielsen at NVCOG to discuss the Kinneytown Dam, the efforts that are going on there at the Kinneytown Dam and the Ansonia power unit, the powerhouse unit here, and how that may impact any future construction, any future trail work in this area. But that's kind of where we are now. As we continue to move north, you can see Nolan Field here on the left-hand side. This is another complicated area. We've got some really steep grades. So we've been out there. We took advantage of the winter months when, you know, the woods weren't too thick, and we got out and walked around, took a bunch of pictures. So again, we're still in the early phases, but we wanted to get in front of you all and let you know that this was coming and give you an opportunity to start thinking about it, because really your feedback as we move forward is going to be very important to us. You know, I grew up in Ansonia. I enjoy a lot of the segments that have already been constructed and really appreciate all the hard work that you all have done. So certainly your feedback will be very valuable. And then of course, reaching out to the town of Seymour and working with them once we get up to the municipal border with Seymour, that'll be important. we need that coordination to make sure that the alternatives that we're evaluating, where they terminate, we want to make sure we're on the same page with them. So with that, I think, Mark, unless you have anything else, I think that's all I've got for an intro.
No, that's great, Josh. Thank you. So that just gives you a quick summary of sort of the study area and some of the constraints that are and opportunities that are involved. So I'll just open it up to any questions, or if you have anything, Aaron, we can entertain any questions at this time. But we are just getting started. We're early in the process.
What does your timeline look like, Josh?
So we're looking at the existing conditions now. We're putting together an existing condition report. We've got 2 public information meetings not scheduled, but that we'd like to conduct to, get feedback from the public. We have another meeting here with you all. So we're thinking we'll have the existing condition report done here in the next month or so, and then do a lot of that public information, public outreach, coordination into the summer months, and then hopefully work on finalizing a report later this year.
Can I just ask a quick question? Is Seymour working on, routing to connect to Ansonia?
So I did have, good morning, everyone. This is Sheila O'Malley, and I don't want you to think I just dropped in at the right moment. But I just coincidental. But I did at the request that Josh and Mark Jewell had suggested, we talked to Seymour, and I did talk to the first select woman, and she seemed receptive to the idea of, coordinating to some degree on this. And Mark, I owe you a meeting with the first select woman. We want to sit down and talk about that. So hopefully Seymour seems to be a willing partner.
Yeah, that's great.
I have a quick question. And Sheila, maybe you can answer it better than Mark or Josh, but I know you guys are pushing the concept of relocating that Route 334, directly from the interchange down to
join the meeting.
Now, have you guys started looking at that as a possibility and sort of building the trail as part of that
parallel?
Project?
Yeah, parallel. Yeah, I think Josh and Mark have spoken or have mentioned that to me and discussed it as one of the alternatives. It's a good idea, I think. I don't know. I mean, maybe you want to elaborate, Josh, Mark.
Yeah, Mark. So that's something that we're definitely going to be looking at for the purposes of this study. I think the one biggest concern is just how long that would take, but it's definitely an alignment and an alternative that we'll be thinking about and reporting on.
Well, the city has a build grant, and have you gotten any response on whether that application was approved or awarded?
Have not gotten a response yet, Mark.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Actually, I don't. I wasn't very hopeful on that because but I don't think we have heard.
I haven't seen anything on every once in a while I look on the DOT's website, and I haven't seen them awarding any of the build grants. So I wasn't sure if you guys had heard.
Yeah, I was waiting for, like 2 large, super large projects, I would imagine.
Obviously still Josh is saying, it could be a long-term project, but unfortunately the trail could be a long-term project too. So
right. Well, we'll continue to look for funding for that project, and as well as for the Riverwalk once it's designed. But yeah, I think it's actually a really great idea to put it on a parallel path.
And you may be aware, but as the Congress is looking at the new transportation authorization bill, they may bring back earmarks.
Yeah, that's what I'm told. Actually, Senator Murphy's office just had a discussion with them about that.
So yeah, and the earmarks may be an easier path than the build. Yeah, it still
Yes.
will require a lot of support from the congressional delegation, but yeah, but the only problem with earmarks in the past, and you maybe remember, is just
I
the
do.
amount of the earmark was not what was needed for the full project, and I think this time around the earmark would have to cover the entire cost of the project. So whether that
Right.
is a problem, but
Right. I mean, the larger cities see larger earmarks, but
Yep.
you're right. It would be a much smaller,
Yeah.
probably a much smaller give.
all right, thanks.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions about this project or comments that anybody wanted to make? All right. Well, thank you, Sheila, Mark, Josh, for your presentation. I think it was insightful, and I'm excited to see what comes out of that. And please let us know what we can do in future meetings or for support when the right time comes.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
The last thing I'll add is that if after this meeting, anybody has a question or a thought and wants to get a hold of us, I would ask that you just contact Aaron, sort of funnel all your comments and questions through Aaron, and he'll get everything to us through the city, and we'll make sure they get responded to.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mark, you're going to talk a little bit about the Derby-Shelton Bridge improvements.
Sure. Yeah, this is a project that's been many years in the making, as Jack probably is well aware of. But we are actually close to the finish line. The rendering you can see on the screen is pretty much what we're going to be doing. Again, the project was going to reconfigure the deck of the Derby-Shelton Bridge to create more of a pedestrian bicycle friendly environment. The first thing was going to be to narrow the shoulders and narrow the sidewalk on the north side, so that we can have a larger area on the south side of the bridge. And through our public information meeting, it was requested that we actually add a third, through lane on the bridge itself, which we could accommodate and still do all the things we wanted to do. That project was fully designed. It went out to advertising, and the city is, the state have selected a Mohawk Construction, I forget their full name, but they are starting the project. So it's actually underway. And so, it will involve, replacing the entire deck, the new parapet walls, new railing, new decorative lighting. As you can see on the right side of the screen, there is going to be some under bridge accent lighting that can be used to highlight the structure at night or at special occasions. As part of this, we are on the Shelton side, the Primrose Development has redeveloped the old parcel that was there, and they're renting it out for apartments. There's a small retail buildings on the other side of the apartment. And that slip ramp that used to connect Canal Street with the bridge, that's been closed. And that, as part of this project, that's going to be rehabilitated, I guess, replaced with some plantings and landscaping. And the bike path will be continued down along that ramp to connect to Canal Street, and then eventually with the Riverwalk. So in a sense, this will be either the ending point or the starting point of the Naugatuck River Greenway in Shelton. And so it's a nice little piece. And again, it's going to be tying the two cities together and creating this aesthetically pleasing, pedestrian, skate area. The Derby-Shelton, the Route 34 project is also nearing its completion of the design, and that's going to improve where the Greenway comes in at the east side of the bridge. And those plans, the 90% plans have been submitted, And we're still hoping to have the design completion in the fall of this year, so construction can start next spring. So there's not any dedicated bike trail segments as part of the Route 34 project like we had originally had tried to get in, but the city still has a commitment to try to create a more direct connection between the Greenway and the Derby-Shelton Bridge to the rail station and the other side of the Greenway on that side. Those plans are still, kind of far off, but it will improve the access to the Derby Greenway, at that corner. So that should be get started under sometime next year, but that's going to be a long project. So the city's going to be experiencing a lot of construction for the next couple of 3 years. Sorry, Jack.
Hey, it's progress, long overdue, long overdue.
Yeah. And the biggest issue affecting both projects was just underground utilities. There were a ton of utilities. The age was a real concern, and relocating those and upgrading those was a real problem. And but in the long run, it will correct a lot of problems or avoid a lot of problems in the future. So it might be worth it. So, but it's good news. We do have the project is going to be under construction real soon.
Hey, I want to just put in a plug for Civic Engagement. This actually started, the bridge project started in 2007 when the Derby-Shelton Rotary Club gave a grant to study this and see what was feasible. So, it's always good when you've got the public on your side when you start, especially when there are a few bucks tied to it as well.
And again, that was sort of the point with the Ansonia section. Unfortunately, these projects can take a long time, but they do eventually a lot of times do get completed. This is 14 years in the making, and the Ansonia project could be, it could take, 10 years as well, but we will get to a point where it actually is done. So, I guess, we have to take a longer view of some of these projects because they do take time, but, eventually, if we don't do the work, then they'll never get done. So at least us doing the work, we can ensure that future generations will benefit. All right.
Great. Thanks, Mark. Was there any other questions or comments or? Okay. I think that's a great project.
Yeah, that should be nice. And
it's exciting to see new sections be built, and even if they're shorter sections, every little piece matters, and especially the difficult sections, which seems like this was one of those hard ones. So it's exciting to see it get done.
Yeah.
We have a couple other project updates that we'll go through just to kind of see what's going on with along the trail. There's a couple we have listed here, but at the end, if anybody else has something going on in their town that they want to share, I'll open it up to that too. So let's just start with Ansonia Riverwalk, segment 3 and 4. I don't know if I'm trying to open it up so I can see who's on here.
Sheila's still on?
I don't see her.
Well, I think Mark sort of alluded to the fact that they're either ready to go out to bid, or I'm not sure if they have gone out to bid on that project.
Yeah. Yes, Aaron. The city's advertised. It's been awarded. The contractor is Schultz Corporation, and the city is issuing them a notice to proceed as of March 15th.
I think Schultz was involved with Derby, weren't they?
I'm not sure about Derby.
That was years ago. I mean, that was.
I mean, we worked on State Project 36-183 in Derby long time ago down at the confluence of the two rivers. And that was not Schultz. I'm not sure if there was another segment that might have been older than that.
How about Waterbury Phase 1? Is there an update on that?
Yes, good morning, everyone. It's Judy Mancini from the city of Waterbury. We had to rebid the project. We went out to bid last year for a variety of reasons. We had to rebid the project and we're hoping to complete that this month. Some issues with making revisions to material specifications due to supply chain issues, COVID, stuff like that, availability of stuff, because we're making a lot of bridges, using a lot of wood. And during this past year, that has become an issue. So we are re-advertising the project for bid later this month and hope to start construction as expected later in the year.
Great. The Connecticut Trail Census Trail Finder.
So yeah, just a quick update. The trail census has posted the 2020 numbers, and I can share quickly. So they have this interactive data portal. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's got, I think there's 22 trails now that are being basically continually tracked for use. And the 2020 numbers, I think there's no surprise that with COVID and people really looking for something to do that's safe, there's a really big increase in trails across the state, starting in March actually, and we're seeing like a 20 to 50% increase, I think, on most trails. They're still sort of finishing up that analysis, but Derby is again the highest. We saw the highest use in Derby again. It's the 4th year in a row that we've been looking at that. And Derby actually did not see that increase, and I think it's because Derby is so crowded all the time that people didn't necessarily see that as a safer place to recreate. But it was pretty consistent with previous years. So there's no decline in use in Derby, but it's pretty interesting. If you haven't seen this portal, you can pick and choose your trails you want to look at, and you can compare them. And you can also go back all the way to 17 and look at counts at various locations. The Connecticut Trail Finder project is also underway. Let's see. So this is going to kick off in this summer. It's going to be a portal very similar to the Maine Trail Finder or the Vermont, New Hampshire Trail Finder. And so it'll look very similar to this. At kickoff, there'll probably be, a limited number of trails on it, but all of the trails are sort of vetted by the trail managers, and all of the information up here will be put up here by trail managers. So it'll be a really authoritative place to get trail information. And I'm really working hard to get the Naugatuck River Greenway included at launch. So, I might be reaching out to the towns that have open sections of trail to sort of, get as much information as we can up there. I'd really like to promote the Greenway as part of that launch. So stay tuned. They're really looking to launch this on Trails Day. There's still a lot of work that has to be done to get the data into the back end of the website, but that's the goal. So stay tuned.
That's something that's been in the process for a couple of years. I think Aaron and I were at a trail symposium a few years back, and we saw this. And to see that it's finally coming to fruition and being launched this year is exciting. We know that our trails are such an attraction for visitors and people to our towns. And one of the struggles that we've had in Connecticut traditionally is people don't know where the trails are. They don't know how to find them, especially visitors who are coming. So this is very exciting, and I think it's going to be a game changer for a lot of our towns that have these. And it's not just trails like multi-use trails like the Naugatuck River Greenway, but all hiking trails will eventually be part of this biking trails. So I think our communities will really benefit from this. So I'm excited. That's great news. Are there any other updates from anybody else on the call? Trail work, design, exciting things that you want to share with the group? Cleve, go ahead. You gotta unmute yourself, Cleve.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Thank you. I'd just like to mention that Michael Lloyd from Washington is with us this morning. He was put in touch with us by Cliff Cooper of Litchfield, who's been working on the local hiking trail. And I think it'd be terrific if someday Washington, the Steep Rock Trail system, could connect up through Litchfield to the Naugatuck system.
Yeah, we've been talking about that kind of throughout the trail, where we have our main trail, which is the Naugatuck River Greenway, and then where are those spurs that we can connect, and how can we expand that into different downtowns? So it seems like that's right in line with the overall vision. Anybody else? All right, let's talk about some funding opportunities. So, Aaron, do you have an update on, or Mark, an update on the TA program?
Is Mark Nielsen still there?
Sorry, I was in with Rick. What was the question?
So we're just talking about funding opportunities. I didn't know if you had an update on the TA program.
No, I don't, which is actually, we have, it's funny, we what was it, last year and a half or so, we went through that whole solicitation process and worked with the other COGs and DOT on identifying projects. And quite honestly, we haven't heard much since then. What the department does in their infinite wisdom is they selected like the top priority that were submitted, and they're going through a vetting process with their TA liaison consultant. But instead of looking at a region's top 3 priorities or top 4, or look at what the projects are related to anticipated funding, they just cut it off at the top priority. So we'll see what we get. Because I know in some regions, the problem we have in the Waterbury region is we're a small urban, so we don't get to select, the DOT selects, and which is hopefully something that will change in the new transportation bill. But we have projects, in the Hartford urbanized area, the Haven urbanized area, Bridgeport, Stanford urbanized area, as well as the Waterbury urbanized area. So we got a bunch of balls we have to sort of juggle at one time. But that does give us a lot more opportunity to get some projects going. So we'll see. But I haven't heard much. We're kind of hopeful that Seymour submitted a project to build a trail up from 67 north to the Beacon Falls town line, and Beacon Falls was going to participate as well and bring it into 42. That has a good shot of being selected. In the Waterbury area, we keep pushing for Naugatuck section. The city is they're supportive and willing to provide the local match. So I think that's a good candidate project as well. So we'll see. But right now we haven't heard too much more about it. But again, I think a big factor in this is depends on what the transportation bill provides in money. As I probably mentioned a couple of meetings ago, Congress is looking at 2 things. One, providing more funding under the alternatives program, which is good. And 2, providing more direct funding to small urbanized areas like Waterbury, so we can actually get to select our projects and not rely on DOT. And 3, limit the ability of DOTs to take money that isn't allocate it directly to an urbanized area and then flex it into something else. So those are all, key items that were in both the Senate and the House bills and had a lot of bipartisan support. So those actions are likely to continue in any kind of future bill. So I think we're going to have, the MPOs are going to have a lot more control over what projects get funded.
Mark, do you think that DOT is going to do another solicitation? I know that, we submitted an application and it was well over a year ago because we were still meeting in person. Right. And if any of those new projects come up or, things have changed, conditions have changed, are they going to just kind of go with that old solicitation?
Yes, I believe they're going to go with the solicitation they did a year and a half or so, and that's it. There won't be a new solicitation. And like I said, depending on, how the program is modified in the new transportation bill, you may be able to have some control of putting a new project in because the regions will have a better ability to select. So we'll see. I think the department has been good in supporting trails and these kinds of projects, but they have been less good about keeping, having more of a transparent and open process and how they, what they do with the money, TA money they flex into something else. We tend not to have any, control over that. They've done some good projects. Finishing the Cheshire Farmington Canal Trail in Cheshire, that was that short section that only the state could build because it was just so expensive. There was a section in Trumbull that only the state could build because it was going over the Merritt Parkway. So they have done some really good projects, but again, we're not informed or kept in the loop as much as we'd like to have. And going forward, that may change. But a direct new solicitation, no, I think they're going to rely on what was done a couple of years ago.
All right. Any questions on the TA program? Rec Trails program. I have a little bit of an update on that, unless Aaron, you have something you want to add?
No, I think, there's a discussion at DEEP. So basically, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, Connecticut left the federal recreational trails program and started a state recreational trails program using bond funds. And that was funded through bonds for, I think, 2 cycles. And then, it has not been refunded in the past 2 or 3 years. So, I think there's a discussion on rejoining the federal program and possibly running 2 sort of separate, a state program and a federal program simultaneously if bond funding ever comes back into play. So, I was on the Greenway's Council call on, was that yesterday? Yeah. And I think Lori Giannotti did say that, they're on target. They're meeting their sort of benchmarks to rejoin the federal program in September if all goes well. So there might be additional funding available, next year.
Yeah, and I think that, the important piece of this is to have those 2 parallel tracks, because as we all know, with the federal Rec Trails program, some of the smaller projects have just become too difficult with the federal regulations that we have to follow to make them feasible to do under that program. Although it's a good program and it does, get trails built and especially some of the bigger projects. So our state program has really been able to fund quite a bit and it's been very productive, and we have it's been very successful. So I think having those 2 tracks is important, and I would advocate for those both to stay. Last year in the budget, $3 million was approved for this program, but it was never voted on by the bonding council. So it never got bonded, so we did not do it. But that $3 million was approved in the budget. And I think we have believe, and don't quote me on another 3 million that's in this year's budget. And so far it's lasted, but that's still up for to be on the chopping block. And even if it does get passed, similar to last year, if it doesn't get put on the bonding commission to vote on, we won't have that program again. So having the federal program, I think, is good to have as a backup. Is there any other questions on that? All right.
I would just sort of also say that, I know it wasn't on the agenda, but, lots of is still a viable source for funding under the, for trails. I know Naugatuck has submitted a pre-app for a section, and, I'm not sure, when, that could be moved from a pre-app to a full application, but, we can do it. So, right now we're really fully committed on projects, but again, we're willing to, at the regional level, to entertain, a trail project that uses lots of. Now, the nice thing about that is we avoid federal entanglement. So we may be able to do projects a little bit quicker. May not have to adhere, so stringently to design standards, or have certain small sections that may not meet the design requirements explicitly. So just to keep that in mind, the towns are required to design it 100%, but the funding would be 100% state. So just a thought. But it would be competitive with a lot of other highway and road projects.
And I think the other thing we heard on yesterday's call from DOT is the governor, or not the governor, I guess it's the governor's bill, but it's their transportation and environmental bill that's starting to get some momentum.
Oh, the transportation, great, thank you. Got it. The climate initiative.
Climate, yes.
Yes.
And so, that seems to be getting some momentum. And if that passes, the money that's collected for that lockbox may have the potential to pay for some Greenway design too. But we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that and see where that goes.
Just to, to follow up on that, just remember the monies that are raised under that initiative are really intended to fund projects that will have a real substantial or significant impact on reducing greenhouse gases. And unfortunately, trails, they're good projects. They just don't model well in that kind of reduction. So I know that it would be possible, but I'm not sure how well they, would be accepted under the program. But it's a wait and see, because again, that program has a long way to go before it's actually implemented.
Right. All right. Any other funding sources to discuss?
I didn't quite hear. Was that a question to me?
Anybody?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Other business. Kinneytown Dam.
So, yeah, I can sort of start. And Kevin, I don't know. You can jump in whenever you'd like, Kevin. So I know the last meeting we had a pretty long conversation about the Kinneytown Dam. So it's still sort of ongoing issue. There's apparently a new owner at the dam. It was previously owned by NL, and now a small firm from Washington State called Hydroland seems to be the new owner. We've been working with federal delegation and we've met a few times with staff at DEEP to try to get conditions placed on the dam that would rethink and restore fish passage at the dam. So there's a coalition that's formed. It's a Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments with Save the Sound, Kevin's Naugatuck River Revival Group, Housatonic Valley Association, and Rivers Alliance, and we'll probably have some new members soon. We've created this this story map that really walks people through the issue and through what's going on right now at FERC, who's the regulator that regulates the dam. I can sort of give you a quick preview of that, possibly. So it really does just sort of, walk you through, what the watershed looks like. The fact that historically there were very large populations of shad and salmon and other fish, in the Naugatuck. Industrialization that sort of ruined all of that, and the fact that in 1996, DEP, then DEP, published a plan to restore fish passage. And the one thing that's keeping that plan from coming to fruition right now is Kinneytown Dam, and the fact that the fish ladder that was built there is not functioning basically at all right now, and hasn't for several years. So if you want to sort of learn more about the issue and get angry about something, please take a look at this story map, because it really is, and Kevin's work showing that, there are just hundreds of fish, stacking up below the dam every spring, trying to get up and aren't able to. It really does, it can get a little emotional, honestly. It's a real shame. Kevin, I don't know if you have anything else to add. Oh, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I guess the basic thing you want to take away from this is that the best option, and really the only option that I think you're going to find as more information comes forward, is that one is that Kinneytown is the first dam on the river when you look at that map. And it precludes 32 miles of spawning and rearing habitat. And really the only solution, in my opinion, and I think it will be borne out as time goes, is that dam needs to go. It's antiquated, old, has physical problems as well as technical problems of passing fish. And the new owner has created some complications because they want to fix it. They want to start up the unit 2, which is in Ansonia, and they think that temporary fixes will appease everyone in the valley as well as FERC. And so they have come up with a plan, which unfortunately is probably right now not a good thing for us, because we had an L pretty much boxed in. And on December 14th, they sold it under the radar, 14 days after we had a major filing at FERC, about a 200-page filing to prove that there was a problem with the fish passage there. And we filed on November 30th. And under the cover of darkness, they sold it to a couple of hydro dreamers in the state of Washington. And they bought 13 dams from NL that range from Georgia all the way up to Connecticut. And Kinneytown has become their priority right now to fix it and to kind of tell all of us that we're here to save the environment. And we're going to give you a couple of megawatts of power for the killing of fish. And and that's their mission right now. Back in 1999, when the dam was built, there was a study for a 3-year study of the effectiveness of that fish ladder that was built in 1999. Now, the documents show that there were thousands of fish that were thrown in the dumpster that DEEP found. that was never made public. There was even salmon in that dumpster. So when they were trying to record what was there, that's the kind of issue we're dealing with. So we're struggling right now to get ahead of this new owner, and who just recently came public with the FERC a couple of days ago, as a matter of fact. And right, Aaron, about last Thursday, I think. And
Yes.
and so we will be meeting tomorrow to re-strategize what we would like to try to do and get Fish and Wildlife and Deep to aggressively. You know, we would like their help to solve this problem. And hopefully the federal delegation will also add a little pressure, hopefully actually a lot of pressure. And this is a pretty serious things. If we fail, this thing will go on for the next decade at minimum, if not longer. And so we have to convince that new owner with public pressure, political pressure, and legal pressure that they don't want to be here. They don't want to try to fix the problem. And that's the problem. If they try to fix the problem, they will not succeed. And we have to show FERC evidence that says basically no temporary fixes. You either fix it all right now or leave. And I think, you know, Aaron, I don't think I overstepped my boundaries here, because I think it's the frost is on the pumpkin right now, and it's you know, it's time. It's time to have this fixed, but not temporary. So
yeah, okay, thanks, Kevin. I think he's right. You know, this has been an ongoing issue for a long time, and you know, FERC has really done nothing about it. So, you know, I think the time is now. There's an open docket, and we're really pushing hard to get DEP and Fish and Wildlife Service to really push FERC to fix this issue. So stay tuned, and please check out this story map. You know, it has all of, you know, links to all of the documents that have been posted to the docket at FERC, letters from several agencies. So please check it out. And then one thing I had under other is, you know, the past several years, we've done these one-page progress reports at the end of every year. This year, this meeting is a month later than normal. So, you know, we haven't gotten this one up, but we did draft one. There's a link to it on the calendar that I sent around. If there's anything else that anybody has as an update, or you know, something that you made progress on last year, please let me know, and I'll add this and add to this, and it'll be posted on the website.
So, it looks like that's the end of the meeting. I love this progress report update, and if anybody has any comments, we can discuss them now, or you can email your progress to Aaron.
Aaron, just a quick question. I think I sent an email to you. I'd like to share this on our website and Facebook and everything else, so people can see the progress that's being made. And I think it'd be good if everyone else shared it too.
Yeah, I think that's great. Over the past couple of years that Aaron's been doing this, we can see that there's lots of points and lots of different things that are happening, and then they're not repetitive. So that's good. It's exciting to see that, you know, there's a lot of activity up and down this corridor. So I really like these progress reports, and I think that Jack is right. The more we can get the word out about this good work, the better we all are, the more support we get for these projects.
Hi, it's Judy. Just a quick question. This way it's written right now, that's not draft form. That's the final form. Okay to post on social media and everything.
This,
Just what
I
you
think
have up
it's,
the
it's a
Greenway.
draft right now. You know, I was hoping to get some feedback from all
Okay.
of you, if there's anything to add. And if I don't hear anything by, you know, the end of the week or whatever, I can send everyone a final copy if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Thanks, Aaron. That way we
Okay.
could be sure we're getting the final thing up on our social media. Thank you.
Yep.
Aaron, anything else we need to talk about?
The only other thing I just wanted to bring up is that, so the last two meetings have been a month later than normal. So our next meeting is actually in 2 months instead of 3. You know, I would entertain, or maybe you would want to entertain a, you know, pushing back the schedule on the next 2 meetings. So it would, instead of it being in May, it would be in June and in December. But I don't, you know, that would be up to you guys.
So that, I don't necessarily have a preference. Hear from everybody else. Do we want to get back on schedule in 2 months, or do we want to keep with our meeting every 3 months?
Either works for me.
All works for me.
Fine either way. Aaron, which schedule would make the most sense in order to have the most up-to-date reports? If we know things are coming up, you know, what would be the better fit?
I don't know that it really matters one way or the other, honestly, but you know, I don't think there's anything pressing that's going to be coming up, you know, before May. So it's really up to you guys.
Well, let's get back into regular schedule. So then we, you know, at one point we're going to have to meet 2 months if we want to get back into that regular schedule for next year. So if it makes sense, let's keep our regular meeting date on May 12th, and then we'll just resume our normal meeting times. That works, everybody?
That's fine.
And it might be a short meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right, second.
A second.
All in favor. All right, have a nice day, everybody. I'll see you guys in May.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.